You've been living in America up until now, 2025. You're being left behind. According to the Association of American Residents Overseas, 8.7 million Americans are living abroad right now, and I'm one of them. I'm Brian with Smooth Sailing Saigon, and I help expats and foreigners relocate and move their whole life over here to Vietnam to live out their dream life, essentially. Because the reason is, if you think the American dream, the American opportunities still exist in 2025, you're dead wrong. Here are the top 3 reasons why Americans are quietly moving over to Vietnam in 2026 and how you can be one of them. The first reason why Americans are quietly moving over to Vietnam in 2026 is something called cost of living arbitrage. Look, it's no secret that year over year with inflation, cost of living, it's constantly going up in the States. To put it bluntly, you guys are getting screwed. Now, I was also part of the group and category until I moved, but with the initial amount you had in terms of what you were getting at the end of the month, maybe 5, 10 years ago, now with the inflation and cost of living, it's getting less and less. Why? Just because of you existing in America. And it's almost like you're on this hamster wheel of, getting for the next paycheck or paying for the next bill, but you're getting less and less value for the fact of the 2 initial reasons mentioned above. I mean, don't even get me started on the fact that you have to add in taxes on top of those things as well. And, having this feeling of, constantly, getting the next paycheck or the next bill, that's the big reason why you're feeling left behind living in the States. Back in Atlanta, I was spending nearly $2,000 a month just for my apartment and food, $1,500 for my apartment, $500 for food, nights out, excursions, transportations, overall just existing and living in downtown Atlanta. But I was still living as if I was a broke college student or just trying to get by through life. Here in Vietnam, I'm spending half of that, $900 a month, $550 for my apartment, and $350 just for similar nights out, food, transportation, and even going on dates. Now, the thing about that, $350, it's either similar in quality or even higher depending where I'm going. But the fact that there's such a massive gap in difference, literally 50% of my expenses being saved up, I'm constantly asking myself, why would I still stay in America if I was living there? Why would I not make the move? Now, look, I thought I was alone on this because, telling friends, family, all right, I'm leaving my life here, what I'm comfortable with, what I'm used to for the past 28 years, and I'm completely moving on the other side of the world and relocating. I thought I was crazy, but with the amount of people I've talked to here and the interviews I've done on this channel, I found out that other people think the same thing just like me. Why would I not take advantage or cost of living arbitrage my life in a whole nother area if the opportunity presented itself? And that's what Vietnam is about. The second reason why Americans are quietly moving over to Vietnam in 2026 is because of lifestyle arbitrage. Now, this one is going to hit a little bit more emotionally because it exposes a lie that, Americans have been accepted ever since growing up there, being there for such a long period of time. And I want to start this off with statistically, rent has been increasing over the years, over time. And the average American now spends over 50% of their income just on rent, food, housing, healthcare. Probably other extra amenities aren't even included in that factor, such as, going out or even potentially paying off certain debts they have. So because of all that, there's a huge factor that they all have to consider when thinking about their lifestyle. Nowadays, you're still sold on the idea and fantasy of the American dream, the American spirit of getting a nice, comfortable, safe, six-figure job and working your way up the ladder or saving up till retirement or being close to retired and eventually you can live your free life. But when you play that out in reality, what actually happens? 60, 90 minutes of your day every day is used up in traffic, commute time, and then you're working 9 to 5, even longer, depending on your responsibilities, 8 to 6, 40, 50, 60, 80 plus hours a week, just so you can finally potentially live out the rest of your life. Now, I want to ask you, is that really what you call adulthood life? Is that really how you should be spending the last later years of your life? I don't believe so. In fact, I think that is just a simply put of American conditioning that's been put onto the mind ever since we were young to be known as what is called successful. Here in Vietnam, the lifestyle is completely different. Americans are working on average, 1,800 hours a year, while Vietnam's lifestyle is working much less because the idea of social integration, of spending leisure time to really experiencing life is part of the lifestyle, where in America, it's more of that grinding factor and then finally cashing in your chips later in your part of your life. And that's still a maybe, especially with previously mentioned before, cost of living and inflation. So living that lifestyle, I want to ask you, is that really how you want to live the rest of your years? And that's the beauty of living well here when you lifestyle arbitrage. You don't need to be rich to live well here. Eating out, eating healthy food isn't some luxury. Going out to nice fancy restaurants isn't some huge financial decision that you have to go back and forth with yourself. Going to social events, parties, and splurging a little bit, with your friends isn't this huge, stressful time that you have to be thinking about. All of this is done because of that lifestyle arbitrage and just taking full advantage of, the cost of living of what you had in the States. If you're spending now $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month just to have, regular, medium lifestyle in America, you can easily spend half of that as a fraction here to live either similar quality or even higher. So I'm thinking, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month. You're living like a king here. Just the fact that you can use that money so much further for spending less for the quality. But the only reality you need to have that decision to be able to do is just, you just need to stop the suffering and the idea that I can't do it and you can, just making the simple move and decision to Vietnam. The third reasons why Americans are quietly moving over to Vietnam in 2026 is because of freedom arbitrage. Roughly now around 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, have less than $1,000 in case of an emergency, and a medical incident can completely wipe them out. Now, that's not freedom, that's just praying for good times. In fact, it can go even further because there's debt, there's mortgages, car payments, health insurance payments, or if you're reliant on a specific job at home, and if word got out, maybe you said something on social media or you did something and it got caught on film, and then they got it back to your boss, and then they find out and pretty much, they can remove you and get rid of you. Now you're back on the hamster wheel of trying to find the next thing so you can continue living the lifestyle of mortgages, car payments, higher cost of living, of transportation, food, and overall just everything. I don't know about you, but is that real freedom? Imagine you were able to live in a new country like Vietnam, and then everything was dramatically reduced. Cost of living, transportation, food, going out, dates, meeting new people, and overall just your experience in terms of quality. It's either similar quality or potentially even higher quality. Now, with all of that, the factors, if you were to use all of that saving time of how much money you were saving because you're comparing the cost of here back in America, you can do so much more with your time and your freedom. Maybe you want to use it to go travel more, or maybe you do want to still be able to continue building something for your own self. Maybe build a business like what I'm doing, or even just being able to find something remotely online so you can actually use your time much more wisely or in a way that's more freedom for you. Now that's personally what I've done, just because I'm able to, extend my lifeline in a sense much longer living here compared to what it would have been in the States. Like just imagine that if I was having, 4 months of saving in America, that's easily 8 months lifestyle of living in here in terms of similar quality and in areas in terms of higher quality as well. Now you can go even further in terms of like retirement. Think about it, just the amount of money you have retired back home in America, using that retirement money here in Vietnam, if you have what, 20, 30 years, 40 years of retirement money in America, double that here in Vietnam, right? 10 years over there in America, add an extra 10 years. You can do a lot of things in life with an extra 10 years, right? But look, I just want to say those are the top 3 reasons why Americans are quietly moving over to Vietnam. Now, it's not easy, of course. That's why I even made Smooth Sailing Saigon, just to be able to make that leap and movement a little bit easier in terms of visas, health, insurance, apartments, and overall just lifestyle and support here with all the documents, paperwork, and meeting the right people and connections to support you on your movement here to Vietnam. Just make it smooth, seamless as possible. So if you're somebody who's interested, you can click in the link in the description below, see if there's something we can help you out with. If not, at least I'm able to provide the right information moving forward, just so you can make the move yourself and really be able to experience, what Vietnam has to offer and potentially retire here. And appreciate it, guys, and hope you enjoyed the video.